Oh, we remember all these images. Back with Sam in our Behavior Bureau. Wendy Walsh, psychologist, author of The 30-Day Love Detox. Erica America, psychotherapist and television host. And Deneen Manette, criminal investigator, author of The Ultimate Betrayal. All right, Deneen, let's start with you instead of finishing with you. Life or death for Jodi?
Well, I'm surprised, honestly, that the prosecution is still going for the death penalty in this case, regardless of whether or not people feel that she deserves it. It's not like that the jury hung 11-1 or 10-2. They hung 8-4, which is a significant divide between the panelists on the jury. So I'm kind of surprised because that was at a time when the emotions were high and when everything was new and fresh and people were still very repulsed by the testimony and the evidence that was presented. Yeah. And 12 people still couldn't get together and come up with death. And so unless we have like 12 Camaros on the jury, I don't see it happening. I really don't.
But Sam, as I recall, a lot of this is motivated by the family really wanting this. The family wants a death penalty for her.
Yeah, absolutely, Dr. Drew. And I want to see what the family wants. I mean, they have been through the ringer. This has been a complete circus from the start. They have watched her change her testimony, change her defense from the very beginning. Remember, first, she wasn't even there. Then it was these two random intruders that killed Travis Alexander. And poor me, I got away.
Oh, and they gave her PTSD.
Oh, of course, exactly.
All her psychiatric symptoms are because the ninjas came in.
Of course. And then it was, oh, I'm suffering from battered women syndrome, which is demeaning the poor victims of real domestic violence out there, which is also maligning Travis Alexander's name. And now it's mental illness. So which is it? My heart breaks for this family.
Joining me now, a man whose name first came to our attention during the phone sex recording. Have a little listen here.
I know you don't like Abe.
Yeah, well, he's soulless. He's like the top of the list.
I wouldn't call him soulless. I would just call him, like, focused.
Well, my focused, soulless guest, Abe Abdelhadi, was a colleague of Travis and dated Jodi one fine night in Pasadena. Abe, what do you think is going to happen to Jodi?
I think she will get the death penalty. I think what's going to happen here is because the emotions will be low and you won't have a bunch of guys hoping to get a dream date with her when the trial is over, you're going to see a lot more clarity. Don't hug me. I'm right here. And what's going to happen is you're going to get a lot more clarity that you didn't have the first couple of times when these guys knew what they signed up for, and then they went ahead and chickened because they couldn't put little Jodi to death because she was so cute and blonde and everything. So, yeah.
Abe, remind people what that dream date was like that you had with her.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. We had a great time. She wasn't crazy at that point. I didn't know she was going to kill anybody, so it was fun. She was, I would say, ethically nebulous when we start talking about religion. You know, you don't dabble in Mormonism if you're telling me that you're shopping for a new faith. And so it was kind of like, you know, I knew something was a little weird, but she was a little pretentious and kind of pseudo-arty. She wasn't going through the whole psycho Charles Manson stare and not blinking and talking about killing piggies. I mean, she was just kind of, you know, a girl in her mid-20s who was a little bit pretentious, and that was about it. We knew each other for a few months before we went out. We knew each other for quite a long time after we had gone out, and there was some unnecessary drama there because of that. And, you know, come to find out that she was unhinged in a lot of ways, and unfortunately a guy paid for it with his life. People had asked me in the past what I thought about Travis's comments, and all I can simply say is, number one, God rest his soul, I can't be mad at a guy who's passed away, and also I can't be mad at a guy who had a lying girlfriend. I've gone through a few of those. So not the first time a guy is operating on bad intelligence.
All right, Abe, thank you so much, buddy. We'll see you again soon, no doubt. Erica, prosecutor Juan Martinez told today's death penalty jurors that her borderline personality disorder is what she was. If you remember, DeMarco got up and gave the objective data. She did neuropsychiatric testing on her, and she met clear criteria for a borderline personality. So that's not a debatable point. Well, she has it. That was proven in those studies. But he made an interesting statement. He said, borderline is not a mental illness, and he made a parallel with someone being a jerk, which isn't a mental illness. In other words, borderline is like being a sort of a nasty person. What do you say?
No. Absolutely don't agree. Okay, personality disorders are mental illnesses, but they're long-standing and enduring patterns of behavior that start around adolescence and get worse and worse and worse, and usually get to be the worst around the 40s and 50s. So yes, they are harder to treat than, say, Axis I disorders like bipolar disorder or OCD, which, you know, respond better to medication alone. Unfortunately, psychotherapy, and particularly DBT, dialectical behavior therapy, is the best thing. And it takes a long time, and it takes, you know, help helping people regulate their emotions, learn how to express themselves again, because they have this intense fear of abandonment that is so intense that, you know, maybe when she found out that he was going to leave, that's why she killed him. It literally, like, the bottom fell out for her.
Yes.
So I really don't agree that, yes, personality disorders are different than the other mental disorders, but they absolutely are mental illness, and her behavior is because of borderline personality disorder. She's mentally ill.
Wendy, she does kind of she does. I see you nodding your head very vigorously, but he does kind of have a point. To somebody who is untrained, somebody with borderline may just feel like kind of a nasty person or a jerk, as he put it.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I think the difference is, Dr. Drew, is that if you were going to use a biological metaphor, it would be he's kind of basically saying, look, she didn't catch a cold. She doesn't have a virus. She's clearly not sick. No, she has a chronic long-term illness. Okay? It's a little bit different.
Yes, she has like asthma or something long-term. Right. But let me ask you this, Wendy. Are men going to learn something from this case, do you think?
I sure hope men can learn something, and that fact is simple, that if you don't get to know a woman's emotional life, their emotional perspective on your relationship, then guess what? While they're having a wild and crazy orgasm, Dr. Drew, they could be plotting to kill you. What? Seriously, this is the message here to men.
Explain, well, how do men know that?
Well, because if they don't take time to watch for those personality red flags, and, you know, I hear guys say all the time, oh, my God, she was so crazy, but she was great in bed. And they will literally think with their little brain, as I like to say, when the blood flows south, another brain takes over. And so when they think with that little brain, they're stopping, and they could be putting themselves in grave danger if truly the person really is a sociopath or has a personality disorder.
Quickly, guys, I want to introduce our friend Katie Wick. She was one of the Dr. Drew jurors during the guilt phase and first death penalty trial. Katie, thanks for joining us. Do you think Jody's likely to get a fair trial this go-around, and do you think she'll get the death penalty?
Hi, thanks for having me, Dr. Drew. Good talking with you. I do think she's going to get a fair trial. I have no doubt in my mind. Since the hung jury, I've spoken with multiple people here in Phoenix, where the trial is being held, that had no clue who Jody was. And just a quick comment, I hear a lot of people saying, I realize that there's been a lot of time that has passed since the hung jury, and the public's tired. People think the state shouldn't be paying the money to do this, but the facts of this case have not changed. And a lot of people are saying that Juan Martinez needs to throw the towel in, and I disagree. They say this isn't the typical death penalty because there weren't multiple victims or there wasn't torture. And I'm sorry, but yeah, there are victims, Dr. Drew. Travis's family are victims. His friends are victims. And anybody who wants to say Travis Alexander was not tortured is obviously not looking at the same pictures I am. And if the definition of death penalty qualified was in the dictionary, Jodi Arias' face should be right next to it.